if you talk about ROI, I am also a mother of a son who is doing his MBA. And as a parent also, if I think about ROI, it is not always the investment in terms of money that we are putting into any institution. It is also about the investment of the kind of skills our students develop and how they carry forward those skills into the corporate world and how they excel in the corporate world. So if you go back to the data of our alums, you will find that they are on some very, very good positions in maybe 5 or 6 years, right?
Today we have a very interesting discussion for you guys. We are at BIMTECH. It's a pleasant morning in Delhi and we are sitting outside with 2 of the alumni who have passed out 2-3 years back, and we have 1 placement head and 1 current year student. So this conversation will be about the alumni, their journey. They'll share their experiences, how their career has progressed, what all things aided them in their journey, and we'll also be sharing industry insights depending on their domain. We also have ma'am who will be talking to us about the placement scenario, also how has the placement evolved over time. And also we have Aayushi, the current year student, who will be sharing with us her recent experience. We'll be asking a lot of questions to our alumni as well. So, okay, let's start with the introduction. We'll start with you.
So, my name is Shreyanshu Govil. I was at BIMTECH from 2016 to 2018. I was doing my MBA in Majors Finance. And before that, born and raised in Noida, did all my schooling from Delhi. And I completed Bachelor's of Business Administration from JIMS Kalkaji IP University. Okay. Fortunate enough to get placed at Genpact from BIMTECH. Lovely job, great learning. Then peak COVID, I shifted to Oxygen Partners. And then I worked with some marquee names like Wells Fargo, and I'm working with Blackstone right now as a Senior Analyst.
Hi, so I'm Jasleen Kaur Thukral, and I'm a BIMTECH PGDM pass out from batch 2018-20, and I specialize in HR. So before that, so whole of my life has been based out of Delhi, and I'm from Delhi itself. Coincidentally. So I did my graduation from DU, from Kamla Nehru College, and it was economics honors. And while I was pursuing my graduation, I was pretty sure that I have to get into, corporate, and MBA is the next path for me. Then prepared for CAT and other entrances, got into BIMTECH, then spent very thorough hands-on 2 years here. From there, I got placed into an automobile giant called as Volvo Aayushi Commercial Vehicles. I joined as a management trainee and joined their corporate HR team, grew in the organization over 2 years, worked in various HR domains, talent acquisition, talent management, L&D. Then I changed my route and got into consumer durables industry. So I am with Kohler India, which is into kitchen and bath appliances. And here also I'm part of Learning and Development Center of Excellence. So this is my journey over the last 5 years. So it seems much has changed, but nothing has changed at all. So it's nice to be back at my alma mater.
Awesome.
So hi, my name is Aayushi Jain, and I am born and brought up in Prayagraj, and I've done my graduation from NIFT Raebareli as a fashion design student. And I've also interned with a lot of luxury brands, and I've worked with Uttar Pradesh government in designing the entire Panchayat dress. Wow. And after that, to understand and get into more, business and have that business acumen, I came to BIMTECH, and I'm currently a second year PGDM Marketing student. I have interned with Zomato as a business development intern in Chandigarh area, where I was responsible for B2B supply of the city. Also, I have multiple certifications like Six Sigma Green Belt by Grant Thornton, and Meta certification in digital marketing also.
So that's quite a lot. And at what point did you decide that you want to do an MBA? Because it seems like your career was going fine. So at what point did you decide to take that shift?
So basically, NIFT taught me about product development and aesthetics, but transitioning to marketing seemed like a natural progression. Where I understood about customer-centric products at NIFT, BIMTECH taught me about business acumen, business development, handling supply chains, managing teams. So the amalgamation of both the fields give me a fresher perspective to handle the business challenges.
Ma'am, what about you?
They know me, and I'm Dr. Archna. I have been working with BIMTECH for last 18 years as a professor in communication. This year, I have been assigned this very important responsibility of heading the placements. So I am into this process. I have a lot of responsibilities, doing some kind of, strategic research to, find out the ways through which I can place the students, present batch students.
Let's unpack that a little, because our viewers who are listening to this, let's give them some flavor of what all it takes to prepare students to get placed.
So when I joined this office, the first thing that I did was to figure out what kind of companies that are coming. And fortunately, we have very good connection with the corporate world. So last year, around 140 companies turned up, right? And they were, the portfolio is quite diversified, and that was good because we have sectoral programs like retail, insurance, and international business also. And then, there are various technical skills which are completely new.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, a new director, she introduced this e-train certification, and she's facilitating this for the students. I think you will agree with me. Now this e-train certification gives the opportunity to the students to take these certifications from very renowned platforms like Microsoft and all, right? And everybody has to do 1 or 2 certifications on that platform. So these are some of the innovative ways through which we are trying to prepare and making them ready for the new market.
Right. You answered all my follow-up questions. We'll move the conversation to now your career trajectories. So you guys have started in a different role and after MBA, and then eventually progressed to a different role. So how was that journey like for you? And my question to both of you is, what has been your North Star when it comes to taking career choices?
BIMTECH gave me was already a head start in terms of the designation that I was getting, right? First, like to tackle your question about a North Star about my career. So even at BIMTECH, I was really clear that I want what I want. I was clear about the profile that I was looking for. I really wanted to go for a domain-heavy profile. I did not want to go a lot into operations or a lot into fintechs, let's say. So if I'm doing an MBA finance, I really wanted to be the finance guy.
Got it.
So
What do you
that
mean
is-
by domain specific?
So there can be support teams at companies, right, where a finance guy is supporting the domain operation.
Got it.
There can be proper domain guys who are doing the credit analysis, who are doing the asset management or the portfolio management. I really wanted to be that guy, and I really continue to work towards being that guy, being clear about having as many added learnings as I can, but still being the credit analyst that I want to be, the portfolio manager that I want to be. So that has been my North Star. And coming back to my trajectory, when I shifted from Genpact at the peak of COVID, there was a huge turn. There was kind of a behemoth that was standing in front of us, which was COVID, and things had changed quite a lot. The first we realized in the industry that we might not have as good a BCP as we thought, BCP being a contingency plan, a backup plan, like business continuity. The companies realized that we might not have good BCPs, so we tackled the whole scenario and we worked through COVID. And since things changed, so there was a huge opportunity to grab learnings from whatever companies you could grab. I got to do that with Oxane. It was technically a fintech company, but being a fintech company that was really pitching its product to various investment banks and multinational banks, it really helped me kind of grind, right? Which you might not be able to do, let's say, at the Wells Fargos or the Citibanks or the JPMs of the world. So that is how moving from Genpact to Oxane helped me. And I think that is what really helped me get into the stride of moving on to bigger and better names like Wells Fargo and currently with Wipro COE, with Blackstone, right? The trajectory has been, as I said, of added learning, realizing what you can pick up, where you can pick it up from, what all you can add, and not just to your resume, right? Because at the end of the day, it is a single sheet of paper. There's only so much that you can put, because when you start out at BIMTECH, or maybe even if it's a graduate who's starting out looking for a job, he might run out of things to fill it with. But there comes a point in time in your career where you might have to think of things that you cannot put.
Okay.
So then you have to decide how you tackle that, how you talk about it in the industry, and how you portray that even though that might not be in my resume right now, I am good at that, and I can talk about that in my discussions in any of the interviews that I give, or now I'm in a fortunate position to take. So whenever I'm taking interviews, I really focus on whatever the students or whatever the candidates have put in their resumes. They really know that stuff. It's not just a string of words that is existing there. So I'd say that has been the trajectory, and that has been kind of the juice of it. Was it that you really wanted to try everything and then decide what you wanted to do, or was it, by the end of the 2 years here, you were clear that I don't want to do talent acquisition, I don't want to do maybe employee engagement, I want to do L&D, or was it after you tried every dish?
I would say that I was very fortunate that within my first stint as a fresher, I got an opportunity to get exposure to different domains, because I do have friends who started in talent acquisition domain, and 2 years down the line they were still working in that domain. They liked it, but they wanted to explore different domain, and because industry is such that they prefer somebody with relevant experience, it was difficult for them to switch that domain itself. So I always wanted that, but I thought that no, it's 1 in 100 kind of a occurrence that you get into a company where you get flavors of everything. They help you transition and make you do everything. So I was fortunate that it happened to me, and I had this privilege to choose what is right for me, coming from different and various backgrounds. So I think, I'm very fortunate that way, is touchwood, and so I think having that exposure and privilege to choose what is right for you gave me a head start, and I am just building on that.
So actually, I was just listening to her statement that, the frameworks that she studied in class and now she's implementing. A few years ago, students used to say that you really don't know, it's a completely different world. We study theories here, but when we go to the corporate world, it is completely different. But the feedback mechanism that we have in CCR, the Center for Corporate Relations, I was just going through the feedback that we are getting from the recruiters, and this is one of the things which is very strongly coming, that recruiters are asking you the frameworks and the theories that you study in the classroom, but they are also extending it in a way that they want you to tell them how you're going to implement it. So that is what I'm saying. There's a lot of change that is happening from the other side also. The recruiters are also changing, their way of recruitment is changing, their expectations are changing from the students.
What are some common struggles that you have seen people go through, and where do they get stuck? And probably they get stuck in operations only, and they are not able to take that next step in their career progression. Do you have any anecdotes or friends probably, or from your experience, can you just draw some parallels and tell me?
The most common struggle that I've seen, while I was one of those people moving out of a college directly into a job, and now when I see, new hires that come into jobs, I think the biggest difference is, or the biggest challenge is, to kind of understand the difference between what you were studying and now what practical operational knowledge about the work you need to understand, right? Because a lot of times, and I'll be a little blunt and say this, I think everyone at whatever point in their life thinks that I am the wisest right now. So I am the wisest right now that I'll ever be. But I realized something in my life, that I'm not as wise as I'll be 5 years from now. So when I realized this, it kind of really helped me grasp the reality of things, in the sense that things are always going to be changing constantly, and there are always going to be additions. It's not set in stone what you're going to have to do and what you're going to have to do tomorrow and then the day after. It's constantly going to change, and you're constantly going to have to evolve. So that struggle with evolving and keeping up with the pace is a common struggle that I have seen with people coming out of a college into a job.
I have a question for you both. For all the students who will be preparing for CAT, so this becomes a very big dilemma, that whether to drop in here and go into top B schools, or should we join BIMTECH and take the career forward. So are there any benefits that BIMTech provides us as an upper hand in that scenario?
I'd say definitely. And first of all, I'd like to say we are already included in top B schools.
Definitely,
And,
definitely.
Why not? And I think the biggest upper hand, at least for me, that I have seen, and I can vouch for it, is the practicality side of things. So as I was talking about the biggest struggle, how I was able to tackle it, or what really helped me, especially from my experience at BIMTECH, was participating, or maybe, heading committees like planning the TED Talk, right? We had a very small team of 5 people, and we managed to execute a TEDx event. And there were some, big names that came and gave talks, and we had to manage them, and they came a day early, were leaving a day late, and we learned all of that. So it was starting from the soft skills that you need to manage some kind of a celebrity in their own right, then executing an event, then managing cancellations. This practicality side of things, right from the students deciding the food menu to students executing events like TEDx and Junior World Entrepreneurship Forum and Udyami, giving the students chance to get a taste of entrepreneurship, even if it's as small as putting up a counter. So we have an event called Udyami. I was a part of ESL. We did that. So those kind of practical, on ground stuff that we got to do, and I'm sure you must be getting to do, is what I'd say is an upper hand.
I think BIMTech has some of the big list of clubs and conduits, and which makes it possible for the students to join and actually participate. We have 16 clubs and 8 conduits, so altogether 24 committees right now. Okay. So it becomes an opportunity for each student to participate in at least one of them and manage their curricular and extracurricular well.
Now I want to understand so you mentioned about change and how they should always be open to change and embracing it. So what are some changes in your industry specifically that you can share with us, so that people who are preparing to get in the similar role like you guys are in can prepare? And ma'am, you can add probably, how does then BIMTech enable this change through this? Yeah.
Okay, I think everyone, when anyone talks about change in the industry, I think the easy grab or the lowest hanging fruit is automation. Everyone talks about AI. I think what I want to talk about that is, it definitely is a change, but what I have understood about this change, or what I'm not a really big expert or something, but what I've understood about this change and what I want to implement, at least within myself, is using tools like these AI tools and automation tools. It's not just that you create an automation tool or you use that AI tool to do stuff. We also need to understand that when it frees up our time, it gives us more time to do the stuff that we are doing better. Okay. Some stuff that the AI cannot do, still human. That analysis, that groundwork, footwork, we get more time to do, and maybe we can do stuff to do that better. And that is, I think, the biggest industry trend that I am seeing. There is a big focus on AI, and with that there is a big focus on, since now you have more free time, you can do what you're doing better.
How is your role expected to change for people planning to pursue similar roles that you are pursuing or you pursued?
Sure, I think, there's a lot of evolving in terms of the landscape that's happening, and its integration with HR is already here. So companies like GE, Unilever, Tetra Pak, they've taken a step in that direction. So from talent acquisition perspective, they have AI-driven tools, as ma'am rightly said, that you just put in resume. Gone are the days when, the ATS would just pick up the keywords. So now it gives you an entire summary, and predictive AI is now also giving, prediction of the success of such a candidate if they were supposed to join that organization, how their career trajectory would look like, in how much time are they expected to leave the organization. And they're also introducing various technologies wherein you get to interact with them digitally first through questions, and then they take a call whether to take you ahead in that process or not. Again, organizations like Google and IBM, they have AI driven talent development models in place. So apart from that the traditional classroom driven interventions, they also have personalized programs in place, right? Digital programs in place that employees have a choice what they want to learn and excel in, and accordingly AI helps you suggest more programs that would help you enrich your experience, and more personalized micro learning content is there. Having said that, to bring all of that digitalization in place, companies are investing a lot, of course, in terms of time and money and other resources as well. And companies are leading this, this entire intervention called as HR transformation. Yeah, because not only does it require companies to implement those programs, it involves a lot of change management. You're dealing with, people, you're dealing with humans, and humans have this tendency to leave their comfort zones behind and trying something new, right? So the companies are especially making HR transformation teams, which are, dedicating their efforts towards implementing those changes, bringing in those tools, and helping, fellow employees, helping them become more aware that how this change is going to lead us to a greater future, and it's only going to make everything more beneficial for everyone. So having said that, I think now is the time that students can start looking up that what is happening in the industries right now. So of course, during their placements, companies won't expect them to have like first-hand experience as to how such initiatives are led, but having some ground level knowledge on what goes behind the picture, what all organizations have taken a step towards that, in what domains specifically of HR domains is AI making its presence and is showing a greater impact, is something that they can already read about. And there are always certifications in place that you can have that give you sort of a simulation kind of a learning, that if you were to be in that situation, in that organization, doing this particular thing using AI, how would the experience be like, and whatever decisions you take and the inputs that you give to that particular tool, what would be your outcomes. So I think its integration in curriculum in some way or the other, BIMTECH has always promoted digitalized experience and certification. So we can always introduce AI-driven HR certifications. Then probably some more context about it in the curriculum itself. It would be a greater, I guess, exposure. And I've always said this before, I'll say this today, and I'll always say that BIMTECH has this tendency to place a very high value on summer internship, and it's commendable. Not many organizations do that. So while it has already taken so many efforts and initiatives in providing I would say state-of-the-art kind of exposure to students through summer internship, probably we can have such more organizations come to campus which are doing a lot of work in technology and using and implementing AI-driven processes and tools. So that would also give students sort of a head start through an experience, and then they can build on through that through their placements. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents on it.
Before ending this conversation, ma'am, I wanted your opinion on the ROI aspect of an MBA degree, because a lot of students, they also consider this to be a big this is a big part in the decision making process also. So when they are considering specifically considering ROI, should they only look at average package, or what are your thoughts on this? And you guys can tell me about the long-term perspective on ROI probably. Yeah.
So if you talk about ROI, I'm also a mother of a son who is doing his MBA, and I, as a parent also, if I think about ROI, it is not always the investment in terms of money that we are putting into any institution. It is also about the investment of the kind of skills our students develop and how they carry forward those skills into the corporate world and how they excel in the corporate world. So if you go back to the data of our alums, you will find that they are on some very, very good positions in maybe 5 or 6 years. right? So they might have started with an average package which might be a little bit lower than IIMs, or maybe lower than IIMs, I would say, not little bit. However, after a few years, we can see our students excelling and doing, if not better than them, but somewhat like them. So I think this is what, you know, a parent should look into this aspect of, you know, ROI when admitting our students to any of the colleges.
BIMTECH is actually considered as one of the very valued and seasoned campuses across India. So students do get an edge during, not only during their hiring procedure, but also, you know, at the time of appraisals. So it actually happens that when an employee is under performance appraisal, not only their performance is evaluated, but their past experience and their qualification background is also given a due prominence. And BIMTECH students do get, I would say, a very upper hand in that BIMTECH is actually considered as one of the very good institutions one can actually study from. It has a great ROI, not in immediate terms, but overall long-term and career progression as well.
I'm a finance guy, so I'll just break it down into a numerator and a denominator. I think there are a couple of things that you know, students who are looking at it from the outside tend to miss, because obviously they are not in the system yet, they are not in the college yet, and what research they are doing is based on a lot of reading that they're doing, which is not really holistic. So for that numerator and denominator equation, I really want, you know, to kind of send that idea out that the costs for any institution also includes the 2 years that they spend on you, right?
Yeah.
People just usually do, I spend this much and I'm getting this much at a job. In 2 years, I'll earn this much. That is not exactly the case, because there was the stuff that you did here. I just learned from her and other professors that we now have Bloomberg terminals. A Bloomberg terminal costs lakhs of rupees a year, and we have multiple. So that cost is a cost for the college. Then whatever the college might be making, it's still making. And the return that you're getting is not just in terms of how much you earn. I might have started at a smaller number than I would have wanted. Everyone wants to aim big and big and big, and whatever number I would have gotten, I would have thought that it's lesser than I deserved or what. But it's also the kind of work that you're doing. It's also the job satisfaction, because with an institution like BIMTECH, you get a job that you would want to do. It's not just, you know, a job that any other random college that is giving you a PGDM will get you. You'll get a better job. Then in the returns, you should also include that job satisfaction, the soft skills that you have built over those 2 years. As I said, being a part of ESL, the practical things that I did made so many relationships here, made so many great friends. And even if you do not want to include those friends, the first three I think are vital to be included as returns.
Okay guys, if you like this episode, please do let us know in the comments below. Also do let us know which other institute you would like us to cover next. If there were any questions that were left unanswered, please comment down below. We'll make sure they get answered by the panel here. Meanwhile, do check the link in the description that talks more about BIMTECH and the courses that they offer. Please do check that out. Meanwhile, this is Seth from Team InsideIIM signing off.